Hello, my name is Minty, or Minty Hippo for long. This video is about hot monsters. So recently, I've been reading this book. I think it was on TikTok. I think it's a TikTok book. I just saw it at the bookstore and I'm like, that looks interesting, but I've been really enjoying it. And it just got me in the mood for talking more about romantic monster stories. And we'll start off with a wood nymph. You know, there's not much to explain there. I'm saying wood nymph like an elf that turns into a tree, or like a fairy that turns into a tree. I guess literally a nymph. If you've seen Hercules, those things. A very good conflict with a wood nymph would have the main character be a city gal, and she really wants to be big business in the big city. And then she goes on vacation to a cabin and meets this wood nymph. But you can't just take a wood nymph to the city. They'll die. They have roots in the woods. And so she keeps him in a pot by the window. Or I guess he keeps himself in a pot by the window. Either way, he lives there. But he's not thriving, and like a houseplant with a neglectful owner, he starts to wilt away. And so we have this conflict of career versus love. And can she go live in a cabin in the woods with this wood nymph? A non-haunted cabin in the woods, hopefully. Like a peaceful cottagecore cabin in the woods. Or will she have to break up with this wood nymph because the city drains him of his magic and his will to live? It's topical, right? That could be a TikTok book pretty well, because it goes, grind mindset versus cottagecore mindset. I think that's extremely topical and compelling. Plus, what book is about a wood nymph? Another supernatural being that we don't really see as a love interest is a ghost. There was a Christmas movie on Netflix that's called The Spirit of Christmas. But besides that, I don't really ever see it. So, of course, you could do the obvious and have them ghost the main character. And they're talking to their best friend or sister or whatever, and they're like, I know this is so obvious, but he ghosted me. And then they're like, that's because he's a ghost. And then she's like, no, literally, he won't respond to my texts. It writes itself. And secondly, we could do something really cute where they meet online. And he's like, I'm a ghostwriter. A literal ghostwriter. That's so funny. We could do callbacks about how he's underappreciated. Nobody knows his name, and he feels like he doesn't get the notoriety he deserves. All calling back to being a ghostwriter. I think that'd be really funny. Plus, look at me right now. We already did all of that. The ghosting, the ghostwriter. There's probably way more jokes. Leave them in the comments. I was thinking, we don't get a lot of elves. I think that's way bigger now, fairies and elves and stuff as love interests, but we don't have a lot of common lore with elves. We have Santa's elves, we have Legolas elves, big, tall, old elves, and then little tiny toy making elves, and Keebler elves, and whatever is in Disenchantment. But what we do know, 1, they live in a pretty land. 2, they're old. They can live forever. So it seems. And so when I was thinking of a romance, I couldn't really think of a good one. That's not kind of creepy. So instead of a romance, I guess, I feel like a good story with an elf it would just be a story where an elf finds a human and then keeps them in their house like a pet. Because a dog only lives 7 years. Well, I hope longer than 7 years. A dog doesn't, a dog lives just a short amount of somebody's lifespan, and a human only lives a fraction of an elf's lifespan. And a human is probably less mentally developed than an elf. And so then the elf keeps the human in the house and gives it lots of room to play, and the human runs away a lot. That's just an elf story that you just wouldn't hear. Because people are trying to be like, well, elves are beautiful and wise. And so they are either guides or love interests. And I know that the sake of this video is for romantic interests, but I just felt uncomfortable with that dynamic. I think it'd be better as a pet. And then, you could probably do something about like ethical zoo stuff. That might be sad. Maybe that's why people haven't done it. Maybe test audiences were like, this is depressing, now I feel bad about owning a dog. But don't feel bad about owning a dog. A dog can't make it outside. It's a little different. And maybe you could put something in there for that. Like it could be like, well, the human can't make it in the elf world. It's too dangerous outside. He's got a nice life inside. Okay. Another thing that I personally haven't seen anything on are cryptids. I've seen an increase in family movies about Bigfoot for some reason, but there's no supernatural episode about Bigfoot being handsome. And why not? He should be. We could do a Bigfoot story where it's like a lady dating a celebrity. It could be anybody. Like, I don't want it to sound like only a lady. I just say it because I'm a lady. Anyway, so the protagonist is dating Bigfoot, and we can do it like that movie Win a Date with Ted Danson. What's that movie called? Ted something. Win a Date with that guy. So it's supposed to be like, I don't even know what that movie's about actually. So Bigfoot, he's knowledgeable about being in the eye of the public or avoiding it. So we could do like the protagonist really wants to like relish in the fame, and she doesn't understand why Bigfoot wouldn't. And Bigfoot has this conflict of like, you don't understand what it's like to have people in your yard taking pictures of you. You get no rest. You have to walk so fast. And the pictures are so embarrassing. Like, Bigfoot is probably the expert on avoiding the paparazzi. So good at it. And so, like, we have this conflict where Bigfoot, he's tried being famous. He's tried doing that life, but it's just not for him. And the paparazzi are just so intrusive. And we have this conflict between like, but if you were famous, imagine how much more money you could get. Everybody wants to meet you. Everybody wants to like know about you. And Bigfoot's like, that's enough. That's enough. You cannot tell me how to live my life. I'm going to go back to being elusive in the woods, sweetie. And we have that breakdown in the third act. They come back together because the protagonist realizes that Bigfoot means more to her than the fame and the money. And he's strong and he's burly and he lives in the woods and he's good at taking care of you and protecting you and keeping you out of harm's way. Plus, he lives in the mountains. And that's tiring and annoying to walk up and down, but he's strong, so he could just carry you up. How princely. Okay, the other cryptid that I would like to talk about is the chupacabra. We could have another celebrity situation going on, right? So we know that chupacabra means goat sucker in Spanish. And we also know that there's a slang term, goat, which means the greatest of all time. So we could have the chupacabra be like a villain who is exploiting celebrities, exploiting the goats, the greatest of all time. like a succubus, and just like feeding on them. Now that's how to modernize a cryptid. That's how you do it. A goat sucker. He's definitely not vegan. What? Okay. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. And of course you can't talk about cryptids without talking about Mothman. A lot of people care about Mothman. They even had like a Riverdale season about Mothman. Mothman was of course the bad guy, which is sad. We could do something like, he has a lot of lamps in his house and he gets easily distracted. And whenever you're on your phone, he starts hitting you in the face. But he's also a man. And you've seen like that statue in West Virginia, because they have like the Mothman Festival every year. And he's like really like buff and burly. And I don't know, I feel like Mothman is just, I think Mothman would probably be like the chillest of the cryptids. I feel like Bigfoot spends a lot of time working out, but Mothman is like naturally buff because he flies a lot. First class, got those frequent flyer miles. Also, that would be so convenient to have a boyfriend who flies. The only issue is that he only comes out at night. But I feel like a moth is just so, like, cute. So I think it would be just easy to just replace any love interest with Mothman. I don't really know a lot of, like, fun puns for a Mothman. Besides the lamps, I guess. I feel like a skeleton could be a topical monster as well. Everybody loves lanky boys. Jack Skellington. He's passionate, caring, charismatic. And also, speaking of that, I know like it was a meme to call Shrek a good boyfriend, but have you seen Shrek 2? He's such a good, well, now husband. He's just such a good partner. He's willing to give up his whole life for Fiona to be happy. It's so kind, but it's also incredibly sad because everyone's super racist against him, and then he's like, it'd be better if I just didn't exist, huh? And I'll do all of this for you. I'm willing to go through crazy magical transformations just to make you happy. And then Fiona's like, that's so unnecessary. My family sucks and I love you. What a touching story. I hope I said that in the correct way. Well, either way, I think Shrek is a good boyfriend. I don't know if all ogres would be, but he is. Well, this was a lot of fun. Hope you had fun. Thanks for watching. And if you have any more suggestions for critters to explore plots of, please let me know. Thanks. See you later. Ta-ta, everybody. It's got a nice life. Ugh. One thing we can't make it in the elf world. Whew. It's got a nice life inside. You know, even if it is blurry for Bigfoot, that's like on brand for Bigfoot. It's supposed to be his eye.